So, when you texted me earlier this week, I guess, you were charged up over the schedule release. And I mentioned it earlier before about how I think the NFL has done an amazing job essentially creating all of this hype and to your point, you're excited about it, all this excitement and hype over a schedule release. And it gets you going. I'm more of a draft guy, but I don't know, what is it?
I think it's the most important thing that the NFL puts out before the season actually starts.
Of course.
It's different than any other sport because there's only 18 games. Well, 18 weeks, right? So it means more that we know when you're playing a certain opponent. But when you're playing a certain opponent means the world. Because from a betting perspective, that depends on when I'm going to make a bet as opposed to when I'm not going to make a bet. And I think it's before putting any futures, team futures, I should say, because if I like Josh Allen to be the MVP this year, I'm probably going to bet him regardless because I know who they're going to play. But that's not going to really dictate too much for me. As opposed to the Bills to win the Super Bowl, I need to know the schedule. Because what do you think of the Chiefs this year, just on the surface, as we start diving into the AFC?
I think they're gonna be
fine
in the playoff picture, without a doubt.
Right,
they'll be fine.
Yeah, so they're the favorite to win the division. They're one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
But they're also the first team in NFL history to start a season with 8 straight games against a team that had a winning record the year before.
Oof.
So they have a tough schedule, right? They're a division winner, so they play a first place schedule. And it just so happened that those first 8 games we've never seen happen before. So let's just say the Chiefs are 8-1 to win the Super Bowl right now. What happens if they come out the gates and they're 3-5? And then
last year?
Like last year. Last year was a beautiful example last year. Though last year was different because we didn't expect that schedule out the gates to be difficult for them.
Got it, okay.
Right? Like they dropped the game to the Titans at home. They're like, who the fuck thought the Titans were going to be that good? But on the surface with this one for the Chiefs, as you're looking at it, I'm saying to myself, yo, if they come out the gates and they are 3-5, right now they're 8-1. Maybe I could get them at 18-1 if it goes the way I think, so I can get better numbers later down the road.
Yeah.
And also from the one that was the most like the craziest one that we experienced was that year that the Jets played all those quarterbacks to start the season. Remember, like the worst quarterback was Matthew Stafford, but then it was like Breeze and Manning, and before you know it, Geno Smith and the Jets are 1-7.
That was the last Rex Ryan year. I think.
You're like, yo, my season's done. It's over for me. Yeah. We're not gonna.
It's actually, now that I think about it, I'm thinking back to the Colts of last year. Remember, the Colts had a brutal first 5 or 6 games, and we all said if they could be 500 out of that first little turn of the race, so to speak. It'll probably set them up for success. And look, they actually didn't, start off too hot at all. It was actually the opposite. They dealt with the Wentz thing and a couple injuries. Lo and behold, look what happens to them. So, at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So,
and look, they went 3-4 last year to Kansas City in their first 7. 6 of the first 8 games are teams that made the playoffs. They're going to play Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Derek Carr, and Josh Allen in consecutive weeks. Now it's Matt Ryan on the Colts. Completely different team, too. Better offensive line, MVP candidate at running back, better defense. And now you're looking at it like, yo, you're playing really good opponents to come out the gates. So if you're Kansas City, and what about that division, bro?
I'm surprised that they were are they a big favorite?
They're plus 155 to win the division.
So not too big.
No. This is a team who the last couple of years have been minus 130, minus 180.
That division is tough.
That division's a bar fight, bro. Not enough primetime games for that division.
Anyone can win that anyone can win that division?
I think that's fair to say, yeah. Think about it. The Raiders are 7-1.
And think about all the shit that they dealt with last year.
And they made the playoffs last year.
And they almost beat the Bengals in the playoffs.
And they got better. You bring back pretty much everyone that matters. You get Chandler Jones now opposite of Max Crosby. You get Devontae Adams. Yo, Adams, Renfro, and Waller.
And the running backs are no slouches either.
Carr, you were giving his roses last year. You're like, yo, Carr.
Yeah. And also, let's just add one of the best offensive minds in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A guy who his scheme alone, got people open.
Yeah.
Because Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, and he got them the rock. But when you think about the New England dynasty, Tom Brady was throwing the ball to a bunch of no-name guys who got open because of the scheme. And that's why the skill guys for New England were revolving doors forever. It's because they never really gave contracts out.
Yeah.
They gave contracts to Aaron Hernandez, to Gronk, right? But other than that, they didn't really give. I mean, your Amendolas who came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Your Edelmans who came out of nowhere. But it's this idea of the scheme and the system will get our guys open. Mm-hmm. It's a revolving door. The pieces are interchangeable.
Yeah. And he's been able to adjust multiple times. Like, it used to be the 2 tight end scheme. And then from there, it went to
a big running game.
Yeah, or it went to dink and dunk, West Coast slants and underneath and bubble routes.
And then 5 wide. And
look, the Raiders, staying with the Raiders, and we'll kind of touch on each team as we talk about this. But Raiders also, man, they come out the gates. Chargers, Cardinals, Titans, Broncos, Chiefs. With 3 of those on the road. So, like, it's going to be tough. You can't fall too far behind in that division also.
That's another point.
But, yeah, to me, man, I really think the schedule is super important for some of those reasons. Like, I know we just spotlighted 2 teams in, like, the AFC West. But to me, it's so important because it's going to dictate so much of, like, when you should bet them.
Yeah.
Like, if I was to tell you, like, yo, would you bet the Chiefs now at plus 800 to win the Super Bowl? Or would you take them at 18-1 around Halloween when they're 3-5 possibly, or 4-4, and maybe their odds would change? Especially, you got to think of it like, what if the Chargers at the same time are 7-1, or Buffalo is undefeated, and then you're looking at it like, all right, so it's not going to go through Kansas City, which was a big issue for Buffalo last year, right? Okay. That game being played in Kansas City. You just start weighing some of those options. So I think to me, man, the schedule is super duper important, bro.
You want to jump in?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Is there a certain division you want to start with? Do
you not want to do the West?
Yeah, let's stay with the West. Yeah, might as well, right? Since we're just talking about them. All right. Denver, 10 wins.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think all 4 teams can make the playoffs? Like, do you think? Because I don't know if it's like statistically possible. So I want to just ask you that question.
I think there's only one playoff team from the South and the East this year.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's Buffalo, and right now, early thoughts, I would go with the Colts.
You don't think Miami can push for a wild card?
I think they could push, but if I had to, I'd say no.
Okay.
And then the North is, I mean, you want to talk about being complicated. Like, I don't know how you could possibly handicap the North Division, in my opinion, because the Ravens know the season from hell. We always talk about it. They lost like 20-plus guys on IR.
How many wins did they have last year?
They won 8 games, despite all that.
Yeah, I know.
You know? They end the season on like a 5-game losing streak. So you have that. Don't know what the hell is happening with Watson in Cleveland.
Yep.
I think he don't get suspended because their win total went up half a game. So to me, on the surface, I'm like, all right, for that not to go down, that means the NFL knows some shit where he might not get suspended.
Yeah.
And then that's going to open up a whole can of worms for a different conversation. And then the Bengals, I think there's going to be some regression.
Because that's natural.
That's natural. Young. They check all the boxes for a team that's going to regress, right? Super Bowl hangover. Young team. Now you're not flying under the radar.
No, yep.
First place schedule. There's a lot of shit. And then
also, kind of, I don't want to say fluky, but like...
Everything went right for them.
Yes.
Everything went right.
Yes.
Like, a lot of shit was just falling in their favor.
Yeah.
You know, Lamar gets hurt. Big Ben falls off a cliff. Baker is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then they were the most stable.